I really like what they've done.
Where the Twin Towers once stood, survivors of Grenfell Tower.
I think it does something when you see the names written down.
They've come to the 9/11 memorial to see how New York remembers its darkest day. But reading the names of the dead here triggers a difficult memory from home.
That's touched me a little bit.
Marcio Gomes lost his stillborn son on the day of the fire. Written here, a similar loss.
Trust me to stand here. Unborn child.
Sorry, man. That's, yeah.
That was the first one I kind of walked into and was like, it just shows how much everyone's gone through, you know?
These were just, people getting on with their day, and then they're totally gone.
But Grenfell also needs its own memorial. That's why Marcio and fellow survivor from the tower, Nick Burton, have come to Ground Zero.
I'm Nicholas.
Are you Greek, Nicholas?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
This is the moment 9/11 and Grenfell meet.
Hi, Marcio.
Marcio.
Nice to meet you.
Portuguese.
Keep talking to me.
I've already been emotional.
And they talk of their shared grief.
Who did you lose?
My wife was pregnant at the time, and our son died. So he was stillborn. So, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
So she and my daughters were put into induced comas. And then when she woke, my son had died.
I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah.
What would have been your son's name?
Logan.
And who did you lose?
My wife. We lived on the 19th floor,
Oh my God.
and but my wife, several months later, died in hospital. I mean, we had to turn her life support off and everything.
What was her name?
Pili. And we don't know what our memorial is going to be like. I mean,
They're talking to Anthula Katsimatidis, who lost her brother in 9/11.
John was his name, John Katsimatidis. He was only 31 years old, and he worked in the other tower, Tower 1. He worked for that company, Cantor Fitzgerald. They were on the top floor.
on the top floor. Yes, we heard all about those.
So they also couldn't get out. And it's like all he did was go to work.
Yeah.
That's all he did. I think about John, like you said, it's every day. Like I think about him every day. I think the best part about our memorial, it brings us some sort of peace, just to sort of come somewhere. Like this is where he lost his soul, his life. I think his soul is here, And so it makes me feel good to come down here because it's such a life-affirming place. Like if you guys have any say in what kind of memorial you build, I would imagine.
The waterfall and pools are called Reflecting Absence and opened 10 years after 9/11, with the underground museum holding more than 10,000 artefacts.
While the finished memorial looks impressive, behind the scenes there were arguments and disagreements to get here. This was just one of 5,000 designs they considered. How hard was it to get to this finished design?
Let me assure you, it was not a straight shot. There was a lot of process involved, and it was attenuated, in part because the site itself was so complicated, in part because there was so much passion, and in part because the stakeholders were so diverse, and we needed time to listen and to process.
So 40% of our victims were never recovered.
Yeah.
So I never buried John.
Yeah.
Anthula is on the board of trustees for the 9/11 memorial and was involved in how to make it from the start.
So John was best friends with this John and this Tommy Galvin. And so it was really important that they be listed together.
What is your advice to the Grenfell community about building a memorial?
Oh, my advice to the Grenfell community is to make sure that they take their time. And I mean, it took us 10 years to finally build this, and people were wondering, why did it take so long? And when they see the outcome, they realize, well, we did it right. How many are there?
And Grenfell is going through the same process now. This is one design suggested by Marcio. The tower turned into a high-rise memorial garden.
I think the height is important. Whether the tower stays how it is, probably not. Very unlikely, because a lot of the floors have kind of bowed and probably quite dangerous. But the height is important because that's what you need to be able to see. So to take that away, I think that's kind of ripping my heart out. So for me, it's a must to have the height. In what shape or form, I don't know just yet, but I think it has to be there.
Nick Burton has also made a drawing for Grenfell's memorial, but is inspired by what he's seen here.
Yeah, I didn't know there was actually so much struggle that they went through, how many designs that they've had to go through, how many plannings about the materials and where it was going to be. It took them a long time to get it right, and they got it right.
It's had a big impact.
I'm so sorry.
Grenfell's memorial is yet to be decided. The tower is likely to come down, but what's built in its place must stand for lives lost on sacred ground. Rags Martel, ITV News, New York.